So very important that we got all of these screws in, especially this screws in the back and in the front where it's real thin here. Okay, make sure you get those in. Now the next thing I'm going to do is cut some backer board that is going to fit right on the front here, and then I'm going to end up screwing it right to this front edge of the counter. Now one thing I did in here was I put mortar up against, I just kind of edged the whole thing, didn't quite get it in the corners. And I did that because you always see these sinks are where all this stuff rots out. You know, water comes down through here because the silicone is a little messed up or gets a little leak in there. So I like to put mortar. I just took it and pasted it all against the side here to try to stop any deterioration of the wood if any water gets in there. At least postpone it a little bit longer till you find the leak. Make sure you put your screws across your seams. Okay, you got screws across there, and we're good to go. So I'm going to go cut the strips now. These are the tiles that we're going to use. This is marble. I'm not going to use this backsplash, just so I'd see how it would look. This is marble. These were taken out of the home store. Went through a bunch of boxes to get them to look alike. I tried to get them to have a bunch of patterns in it, not to have as much grain. The ones that had the grain, some were a little bit more rust color in them, some had more grain lines, some were more sparkly. So I went through a whole bunch of boxes to try to get tile that was a little grayish and looked about the same. Still have one more box to go. Now laying it out. How are we going to lay this out? I'm going to take this first tile here and I'm going to move it over here. It's going to sit right about like that. And then I'm going to come underneath and I'm going to mark it, and then I'm going to cut this edge out on my tile saw, and then I'm going to cut this corner out with a hole saw. And then I don't really care about these spaces in the middle. I could cut them, probably put a nice even tile here, a couple of spaces here, here, and then the next tile over here is going to be basically the same thing. Going to go over the edge, same type of cuts. The guy in the back is going to be the same exact way. And then I'll just put a couple of tiles in the back right there. That guy there, like I said, is going to be the same way. A couple of tiles in the back. Okay? That will be it. So, we'll get this sink out of here. Get the tiles cut. And then after I finish that, we're going to have a little bit lip coming down here. I'm going to have it meet the front of this, and then I'm going to put a little bit of grout across the top of this. And then in the back, for the backsplash, well, it's going to be a small piece of this tile, and then it's going to be some other design up in here. Probably use the same type of tile I use for the shower, or I might just use all white. I have not decided yet. But what I'll do with this, I'll cut this into thirds, which will be about 4 inches each, since this is a 12-inch tile, and I'll put 1/3 up here. So this backsplash should be about 4 inches on top of every tile, and then it'll go all the way around. Like I said, these are blue and white. We were just trying to see what it would look like if I had the checkerboard style. Don't really like it. And that's about it. So let's get to measuring and cutting. Okay, so there's 2 cuts that we want to do, and I'm not going to be able to use anything but this saw right here for these pieces of marble. One cut is going to be for the backslash, and what I want to do is I want to cut one of these at about every 4 inches so I can get 3 pieces out of it and maximize my usage across the back of the backsplash. Now I know this tile, there's 6 inches there. Oh, if I can mark it, I hate these kind of pencils. Left my pencil hand. And there's 6 inches there. This tile is exactly 12 inches. So I know if I cut 4 inches and 4 inches out of this, I'll end up with 3 even pieces. But what I have to remember is there's the width of this blade in here. So what I'll have to do is, here's 4 inches there. Here's 4 inches here. And let's mark that. And mark that. Okay? Measure it out. And 4 inches. Okay. So, I've put 2 marks here and here. So this is 4, 4, and 4. These are even. So what I'll have to do is the blade will have to come a little bit more on this side of the line and a little bit more on this side of the line, because this middle piece is going to have 2 blades cut out of it. So I'm just going to go a little bit on that side, a little bit on that side. When I finish, all 4 of these should be the same size cuts. And then what I'll do is I'll put my stop here. I'll put my stop in the correct position. Now mind you, I'm supposed to have a different stop. This is a 45 degree, but I don't know what I do with my other stop. We'll put it here, and that way when I rest the tile up against the stop, it'll be this cut, and then I'll just flip it around the other way against the stop, and it'll be the other cut. And that way I'll get 2 cuts out of it, and I'll know exactly where it is, and I can cut through all the tiles I need to cut. Now this other tile here, this is the fun one. This is the corner piece for the kitchen. It's going to require a little radius in there. This is the sink that's going to go in here. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut through to about here, and then I'm going to make another cut all the way to here, and then I'm going to make this cut. So this piece will drop off, and then what I'll do is I'll come across. It's going to be pretty messy the way I cut this right now, but it just is what it is. I don't have a hand grinder or other thing to do it. So what I want to do is I just hope to have a little bit extra tile right in this corner here, because the sink is round about to there. So that'll give me an extra little tile, because I don't want that little thing to be exposed right there. Okay? So let's go ahead, and I'm going to cut this one first. By the way, this is a wet saw. How it works is there's this little pump right here. Now this pump usually sits in here, and it recirculates the water in the base. I don't do that, because what happens is it gets a bunch of dirt in your pump, and the pump then clogs up. So what I do is I just put the hose in it. I put it in a bucket of water. It's here, you can't see. And then I just keep filling that bucket of water up. And this doesn't fill up because there's a hole, and I have another bucket right here that this hole drains through, and it goes into that bucket. The water pumps up through this line into here, and you'll see all the water come out. All that pump turns on and everything when I turn this on. You can see all the water. Okay? That's why it's called a wet saw. Diamond blade. So I'm going to make these cuts right now, and let's see how it comes out. I don't care about cutting on what side I cut on, because this is going to be an icky cut right here, or a bad cut next, because the sink is going to sit over the edge. Okay? So let's see about trying this right now.
And every day I get a little bit older, and every second I get a little bit younger, and every moment I get a little weaker. You see, my breath away. You don't know it yet, but you hold my heart in your hands. And you don't know it yet, but every time I look at you, I fall in love again. And you don't know it yet, but I'm gonna ask you to dance. And you don't know it yet, but every day I get a little bit older, and every second I get a little bit younger, and every moment I get a little weaker, 'cause you take my breath away. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh, whoa, oh, oh. Oh, when we dance, let's take our time. I don't want this moment to end. Oh, if I could slow down time, I would turn 24 hours into 48. If I could speak to the Sandman and say, I don't wanna close my eyes yet. Oh, I don't wanna miss a thing. And every day I get a little bit older, and every second I get a little bit younger, and every moment I get a little weaker, 'cause you take my breath away. Oh, whoa, oh, 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 oh. And you are my angel, and I am your soldier. You are my lady, and I'll fight for you, for now and forever, till death do us part. And every day I get a little bit older, and every second I get a little bit younger, and every moment I get a little weaker, 'cause you take, and every day I get a little bit older, and every second I get a little bit younger, and every moment I get a little weaker, 'cause you take my breath away, 'cause you take my breath
I'm gonna try to 45
away.
degrees. A little bit too much, but I do like this one right here. See, I just took the front off. I like that. That may be what we use for the bull nose. It may also be what I do for all of these tiles here. I'll see how it dries and how smooth it is. But that's it. All tiles cut.